3, The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network. Today, the Padres take on the Arizona Diamondbacks in the first game of a 3-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today for the Diamondbacks, right-hander Brandon Pfaadt, and for the Padres, left-hander JP Sears. Hi again, everyone. Sam Levitt with you from inside Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona. First pitch coming up at 6:40 as we get ready for the start of a very quick 3-game road trip. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we have a lot to do. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We'll hear from new Padres reliever Mason Miller. We'll hear from tonight's starting pitcher JP Sears. Bryce Johnson joins the program as well. And in just a little bit, we hear from tonight's television broadcaster for the Padres. That's Jesse Agler. But first, it's time to set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres are 62-50. They entered today sitting in the National League's final wild card spot, a 4-game lead on the Cincinnati Reds. They are 3 games behind the LA Dodgers for first place in the National League West. Meanwhile, the Diamondbacks come in at 53-59. They won the last 2 games of their series in Sacramento against the A's on Saturday and Sunday, but before that, they had lost 6 in a row and 9 of 10 before the wins on Saturday and Sunday in Sacramento. Before we turn our full attention to today's game, let's rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, yesterday at Petco Park, rubber game of a 3-game series against the St. Louis Cardinals. We had a scoreless game in the bottom half of the 4th inning. A runner on base for Jake Cronenworth.
0-1 is launched in the air to deep right center field. Walker's going back on the track, at the wall, looking up, gonna go! Jake Cronenworth, a 2-run homer. And the Padres finally strike against Palante. It's 2-0.
A 2-0 Padres lead. Dylan Cease was great. He went 5 scoreless innings, allowed just 1 hit, struck out 9. Padres still led just 2-0 in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Bases all loaded up for Jackson Merrill.
First pitch, Merrill swings, grounds it towards first. That's a fair ball down the line. Here we go. Firmina's scored. Fernando's on his way. Machado being waved at third. The relay comes into first. No chance. A bases clearing triple for Merrill. And it's 5-0 in the 7th.
What a moment for Jackson Merrill. He has been an RBI machine as of late. We'll talk more about that coming up later. Padres got another run in that inning on a sac fly from Xander Bogaerts. It was 6-0. Let's go bottom 8. One of the new Padres, Ramon Laureano, dug in.
Munoz delivers, and that's in the air to right field. Well struck. Walker's going back. He's on the warning track at the wall. It's going to go! Apo Taco for Ramon Laureano. His first is a Padre. 16th of the season, and now 7-0 in the 8th.
Cardinals would make it interesting in the 9th inning. Adrian Morejon faced 5 batters, did not get an out. In the process, the Cardinals scored 3 runs in the inning, all charged to Morejon, but it was Robert Suarez who came in and shut the door.
Here it is on 1 and 2, and a line drive caught by Suarez. The game is over. Far more interesting than anybody in that first base dugout wanted it to be in the 9th inning. But the Padres literally hold on for the victory as Suarez snags the line drive to end the game. Cardinals get 3 in the 9th, but that's all. And the Padres wrap a 5-1 homestand with a 7-3 win over the St. Louis Cardinals.
Padres doing a very nice job on that homestand, winning the series against the Mets. They swept them and winning 2 out of 3 from the St. Louis Cardinals. And now they hit the road as they begin this 3-game series here tonight at Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona. As always, if you want to get involved on our pregame coverage, you can do that in a number of different ways. You can find me on X at Sammy Lev, SammyLev. Instagram DM's open as well. Sammy Lev there too. You can also chime in on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube stream. Let us know, as always, who you are, where you're tuned in from, and we may just give you a shout out here on the air. Let's check in with Jesse Agler.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Jesse Agler in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Here at Chase Field in Phoenix, I'm joined by Jesse Agler. Jesse sliding over to the TV side of things tonight, but kind enough to still take a few minutes with us here on the radio side of things on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. Jesse, obviously pretty good first few games for these new-look Padres. What was your takeaway over the weekend?
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, look, winning is the main thing, right? And you win 2 out of 3. You have a 5-1 homestand. I don't get greedy. Definitely not in August. I might get a little greedy in September. We'll see. But it's fun to see this look. I think that the thing that jumped off the page at all of us, right, was the 7-8-9 in the order. That's as good of a 7-8-9 as you're going to see around Major League Baseball. And it's going to make life really, really difficult on opposing pitchers, starters and relievers. And, Tony and I have talked about it 1,000 times this year. But when the Padres are getting something, even if it's one thing out of the bottom of the order, it seems like good things really happen, and we definitely saw that the last couple of days.
We get to see JP Sears make his Padres debut. He's been very consistent in his career, and I think it's one of those situations, it seems like, Jesse, where I'm sure the Padres are hoping Ruben Niebla can work a little magic because he's been reliable, but maybe there's a little bit more in the tank for JP.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. He's a guy that, and this is maybe the most important thing you can have as a starter, is able to go out there and make, the 30-ish starts every single season the last couple of years. That means he knows how to take care of his body. That means he doesn't push his body too much. And it means he pitches well enough to keep himself in the rotation. So that's step one. But you're right. I think there's definitely more there for JP Sears. We now get the opportunity to kind of track in the next few starts what goes differently in terms of pitch selection, in terms of results for JP Sears. Not an easy thing to do on the fly. I don't know that we can expect ultra magic, right out of the gates. But there's no question the Padres have probably the best pitching coach in all of baseball. And so to be able to see a new pitcher come in, work with Ruben, it'll be a really fun thing to keep track of.
We're joined by Jesse Agler as we get ready for today's game here on the Padres Radio Network. Well, one of these teams went in one direction at the trade deadline. Padres obviously very aggressive. The other team, the Diamondbacks, it was the opposite. A total sell-off. Eugenio Suarez, Josh Naylor, Merrill Kelly, list goes on of the guys they dealt away. This is a very different team considering at the start of the year, there were a lot of injuries, but at the start of the year, I think a lot of us thought they would be very, very competitive, but it just hasn't panned out that way.
I thought at the beginning of the year, the Diamondbacks would be right there with the Padres, well into the summer, and that's certainly not been the case. And you were right to bring up the injuries because that's been a big part of what's not gone right for them this year. Eugenio Suarez was having an MVP-adjacent season. He's gone. Josh Naylor's a dangerous hitter. He's gone. But I will say this. Ketel Marte and Corbin Carroll and Geraldo Perdomo and Alec Thomas. I mean, they still got some guys out there that can cause you plenty of trouble on the offensive side. I know the bullpen's been beat up all year and has had troubles all year. So there are runs to be had there. But this is not a team that is completely decimated by the trade deadline. They made a lot of moves. It'll be fascinating to see the guys that they got back, how they slot in, if at all, in the future. But for right now, this is not a team I would take for granted. I'll say that.
As far as the Padres offense, they continue to do some really good things. And I think Luis Arraez has been such, I don't want to say revelation because we know what he is, but he is looking like the 3-time batting champion. Now, what's your takeaway on what Luis continues to do?
He's just remarkably consistent. I didn't grow up here in San Diego, so I didn't get the opportunity to watch Tony Gwynn take 4 at-bats every night for 20 years like so many people were lucky enough to do here. And to see a guy just kind of every single night, you can almost bank on a hit or two. That's insane. We all talk about hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in sports. It is. And to see a guy be able to do it the way he does, to be so comfortable with 2 strikes, to be so dangerous with 2 strikes, it's a heck of a thing to watch. It really is. And was he at his best earlier this season? Definitely not. And now we're seeing him at his best, and it's a heck of a thing to watch. It's a lot of fun.
Finally, Arizona righty Brandon Pfaadt on the mound for the Diamondbacks today. He's a guy who's had kind of an up and down year. If you dive into some of the numbers, there have just been some bad starts, but he's actually been pretty good otherwise. And Jesse, he's always somebody who seems to give the Padres quite a bit of trouble.
Yeah, we've seen him at his best. It seems like every time out, including a couple of years ago, he took a no-hitter into the 7th inning against the Padres. I think what is the number, right? You take out the 4 bad starts, his ERA drops to 3.38, which is a great number. But he has his blow-ups, and there are a lot of extra base hits. There are a lot of home runs. So he's a guy that has been slugged against with great regularity this year. And a lot like Sears, probably not going to be a ton of walks or strikeouts. So you're going to have a lot of balls in play. And so get your vocal cords ready. Here we go.
Jesse, appreciate the time. Scans and I will try to keep the radio booth warm for you for the next few nights. Best of luck with the call on the TV side of things, and we'll talk to you maybe later this series.
Yeah, man. Have fun over there, and we'll talk to you soon.
We hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt when we come back on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show right here on the Padres Radio Network.
Stay tuned.
Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona, as we get ready for today's game. Game one of this three-game series between the Padres and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Padres come in 62-50, Arizona at 53-59. Lot to do on our pregame coverage. We'll take you around the horn in just a little bit. We'll hear from Mason Miller. We'll hear from today's starting pitcher, JP Sears, and much more to come. Both teams have finished up taking batting practice. The grounds crew here in Arizona getting the playing surface ready as we get ready to roll for game one of this quick three-game road trip to Arizona. As we get ready for today's game, and with left-hander JP Sears on the mound for San Diego, let's hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Served up by Sin Lee Food, where fresh meets flavor. Find farm fresh produce, bold Asian spices, and gourmet ingredients at 4665 El Cajon Boulevard. Sin Lee Food, the cook's Asian resource.
JP Sears is going to make his first start for you. Your thoughts and your expectations, what you want to see from him today?
Yeah, we're excited to see JP. I mean, clearly a guy that was, valued, and we got over here in the trade with Miller, and a lot of favorable things have been said coming from the group, with Oakland. Kotz and Nemo, their pitching coach and manager, very favorable, and we've seen him in the past. Looking forward to seeing him pitch tonight.
When he's going well, I know you haven't seen him necessarily day in and day out. What do you expect him to be able to execute on a more of a polished level than most?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen him. We're aware of his arsenal. I think the biggest thing is the word you used, Palm, was the execution. If he goes out and controls counts and is able to execute his pitches, then he'll be in a good spot.
Michael King, rehab start yesterday in El Paso. What's the takeaway? How does he feel? What's the timeline now?
Takeaway is very positive. Feels good today. I don't know if he's played catch or he's going to play catch today, but he got through 61 pitches yesterday and felt good and was really excited. And back to doing what he loves and competing. It's been a period of time. So there's a really good chance. Not going to put it in pen yet, but we'll put it in a dark pencil that he's got a good chance to his next start to be for a Padre big league club.
Do you anticipate it being on turn now, like in 5-6 days from now?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're still evaluating that, so that's about as far as I can take you right now.
Okay. Joe Musgrove, just coming off a bullpen himself. Can you give us an update on his health and status?
Nothing changed. The bullpen was good. Came out of it good. Looking at his timeline, again, it's 15 pitches, so it's a good start. There's going to be some more catch that's going to take place, then another bullpen will take place as well, and then we'll kind of take it from there. But Joe's heading in a good direction.
Where are you slotting in Miller?
We've already done it. The thing about the bullpen is, I'll probably continue to repeat, it's just a very fluid situation. And the good news is we have guys that can pitch in multiple places. And, Miller slid into the 8th inning the other day. Suarez has 2 saves since he's been here. But, listen, it's an opportunity when Robert's getting some work or Miller's getting to work. Either one of them can close clearly, and guys can pitch in different spots. And the good news is when guys have talent, they can pitch anywhere.
Unique spot for Freddie Fermin to be learning guys for the first time in August. What have you kind of seen from him the first couple times out, this first spin through how he is behind the plate?
It is a unique spot. It's a good question. It's clearly a transition for him, especially for guys and have had this experience with players that have been in other organizations for, some long period of time. That's a tough transition. 10 years, a long time to be in a certain place. And I know he had a lot of, really good experiences and loved the Kansas City organization. A lot of people spoke very favorably from that organization about Freddie, and I can clearly see why. And but to specifically answer your question, there is a transition period. But the good news about baseball, there's a universal, kind of feeling of communication. And once you get a nuance of how our pitchers feel and then how we operate and how we like to game plan, it'll start to, he'll ease into it. And he's already done a really nice job and already better the second day than the first day. And they expect him to be better tonight. So we're excited to have Freddie.
Generally, do you think that's harder on the pitcher or the catcher?
I think it's harder on the catcher because you're one catcher with a pitching coach, bullpen coach, game planning coach, and 13 pitchers versus one pitcher, for the catcher. But it's really just gets down to communication and collaboration. And it's really, he did a nice job of helping lead our pitcher-catcher meeting today. So we're in a good spot with Freddie.
Do you think it's tough to break in a catcher this late in the season?
I wouldn't say tough. It's just, there's some intentionality about what that onboarding looks like. And the ability for everybody to be on the same page and coordinate and be able to, even before – the last thing I want to do is have Freddie hear from 5 different people. I'd rather make sure, which we have, that there's a collective voice that Freddie's hearing consistently from 5 different people that are rightfully going to communicate with Freddie, and then also including what the conversation look like with the pitchers as well.
How, if at all, does PitchCom impact that acclimation period? As you've seen this game evolve like that, does it impact it at all?
I think it does. I think in this case, it can make it easier overall. But I do think initially it's more of a challenge because he comes. We just have a different operating system with our PitchCom. Different verbiage of what he's hearing, what he's presenting, different places on the PitchCom where the buttons take place. Hold to get to another button. So I know he was very intentional about practicing with it away from the field.
Most of our guys calling their own pitches, or is that kind of a thing that goes back and forth as he gets more comfortable behind the plate? How does that work?
I think it's a blend. I mean, some of our guys call their own pitches, but a high percentage of our catchers call the pitches for our guys with the right of refusal from the pitcher.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt earlier today inside the Padres dugout. We'll hear more from Mike on our postgame coverage coming up later on this evening. Sam Levitt with you here at Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona, as the Padres take on the Arizona Diamondbacks in Game 1 of this 3-game series. Let's quickly pause for station ID on the Padres Radio Network.
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
Hey, what's up? This is Nick Pavetta. You're listening to Padres Baseball on the Padres Radio Network.
And Odyssey Sports Station.
First pitch coming up at 6:40 here in Arizona. Well, as you heard there from Mike Shildt, Joe Musgrove throwing his first full-out bullpen session on Saturday at Petco Park. Let's hear from Joe inside the clubhouse on that bullpen session, how it went.
Once we're through the initial planned out throwing, now it's kind of us figuring out what the routine is and the intensity on certain days. So
Twice a week though still?
Tuesday, Saturdays off the mound, and then, regular catch play between, just kind of like as if I was in season. The Tuesday pin will be like a between start pin, and then Saturdays will kind of replicate a game. So I'll kind of start to normalize the 5-day routine over the next couple of weeks here. So
And back in 2 weeks or what? So
I feel pretty close. I got a long ways to go. A lot of intensity to add to it, which obviously is going to bring more soreness and maybe bring some issues up. But up to this point, it's been really good. I've had bad days here and there, but nothing that's stuck around for too long, nothing that's lingered and prohibited us from throwing. So I'm glad that through the bad days, I've been able to still get out and throw and kind of maintain progress. So
someone who loves what they do as much as you do, to actually get on the mound, what did that feel like yesterday?
Feel good, man. I had some of the guys out there watching. It feels good for me to be able to show them that I've been working, and that I'm getting closer and getting ready. And again, I know that there's a lot of things that can happen between now and the playoffs that could derail the plan. But with how I felt yesterday, I think I'm optimistic about a chance to pitch this year. So, or at least a chance to be ready to pitch, whether they pitch me or not.
Are there many specifics mapping out what that in relief, an inning?
I got it all.
There are specific things. But not necessarily the plan, but that goal that you have with pitching.
Yeah, I mean, I stay in contact with AJ about how I'm feeling, and he's always been the one to not force me into throwing, but to remind me that these protocols and the time frame is kind of relative to who's going through it, and that it doesn't mean just because the doctor says 12 to 16 months doesn't mean it has to be that, so. We've been very diligent about staying on program and, doing what the doc says up to this point. Now that we're into bullpens and I'm starting to throw more regularly, there's a little more freedom in there. So, even Meister himself told me that, be very careful on the front end, on the back end. That's kind of where you can make up a little bit of ground. So the next couple of weeks is just going to be listening to the body and, allowing myself to do what I feel comfortable with. So
how antsy are you right now?
More so than I was a couple months ago. I think especially with the additions of the new guys, I want to be part of this really bad. And, I feel like we have a good chance to go deep into this thing and win it all. And if we get to that point, I want to be able to say that I contributed in some fashion, whether it's one out or an inning or a start, whatever it is, I would love to get out there and play. So a little antsy with that, but again, trying to, rein myself in and stay to the process and keep progressing, how I know I need to.
That was Padres pitcher Joe Musgrove earlier this week inside the clubhouse after his first full-out bullpen session over the weekend in San Diego. Always good to hear from Joe, and hopefully we see Joe Musgrove back on the mound very, very soon. First pitch coming up at 6:40 between the Padres and the Arizona Diamondbacks as we get ready for this one series opener between these two teams at Chase Field. Let's take you around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Let's update you on some of the injuries from around Major League Baseball. Houston Astros third baseman Isaac Paredes has opted to forego season-ending surgery on his strained right hamstring. Instead, he'll rehab the injury in an effort to return this season 26-year-old Paredes was hitting .259 with 19 home runs and 50 RBIs before he was placed on the IL. Aaron Judge could be back in the Yankees lineup as early as tomorrow. That's when he's eligible to come off the 10-day IL. We'll see if that remains the plan for the Yankees star. Braves third baseman Austin Riley was placed on the 10-day IL earlier today with a strained lower abdominal muscle. He injured it on a diving play against the Reds yesterday. And finally, promising Orioles right-hander Grayson Rodriguez will have season-ending surgery on his pitching elbow this week. And that's a look at some quick headlines from around the major leagues, mostly injury-related as we get ready for this series opener in Arizona. When we come back, we give you the latest on Michael King. Plus, we also hear from new Padres reliever Mason Miller. We also hear from tonight's starting pitcher JP Sears. Much, much more to do on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show right here on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona, where we're having a great visit by the great Padres PR staff right now. It's not every day here on the pregame coverage that we get the PR staff in the booth. So hello, Darren. Hello, Tiffany. Keep up the great work. They were very kind to me on the team plane yesterday. Showed me around, made sure I didn't sit anywhere I shouldn't be sitting. So great job by Feeny and Tiffany all week long. All right, that's enough about the PR. Back to the ball game here today. Padres getting ready to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. First pitch coming up at 6:40 in this one. Let's give you the latest on Michael King and also update you on a move today for the Dbacks.
Who's in, who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at BadaFulkerson.com.
Well, the D-backs did make a move today. They recalled right-hander Andrew Hoffman from AAA Reno. That was because they placed they placed right-hander Kevin Ginkel on the 15-day IL today with a sprained right shoulder. So that was the latest move today for Arizona. As far as other injury notes, Pavin Smith is dealing with an oblique injury. He's on the IL. Gabriel Moreno fractured his finger earlier this season. Still has not completed healing. He's needed some more time before resuming full baseball activities. Ryan Thompson dealing with a shoulder injury, D-backs reliever. And finally, the latest update on Michael King. He threw 61 pitches in his first rehab start with AAA El Paso yesterday. 3 innings and a third, 6 earned runs given up, 4 hits. He allowed 2 home runs, 1 walk, and struck out 5. So don't really mind the numbers for King. It's really just important that he threw 61 pitches, that he comes out of it healthy, that he recovers the remainder of this week. So that's the latest on the injury front for Michael King, and some recent injury news for the D-backs as well. Well, the Padres welcomed right-hander Mason Miller to their bullpen over the weekend after trading for Miller at the trade deadline. We've talked about this a little bit. Miller has a really interesting story. Began his college career at D3 Waynesburg University, ultimately went to Gardner-Webb. He found out he had type 1 diabetes early in his college career, really changed the trajectory of his career, his life, his physique, his velocity. Really fascinating story, really interesting guy to hear about. Here was Mason Miller inside the Padres clubhouse reflecting on his Padres debut at Petco Park and some more about his life.
What was your first feeling when you towed the rubber? You guys start looking up to warm up. Did you drink it in, or were you really dialed in?
I think I soaked it in on my way out to the bullpen and sitting down there a little bit, just the atmosphere, scoring those couple. Yeah, it's hard. It's nobody, especially kids. It's juvenile diabetes, and it's so hard to watch kids go through, any sort of health issues. But I always looked at it as a type 1 diabetic. I was grateful that we had the measures and technology to treat it and do the things that you'd like to do. I've had moments in my life where I've been fearful that it would withhold me from doing things I wanted to do, but that hasn't been the case. I sit here and get to do one of the coolest jobs in the world and play baseball for a living. And I do all that as a type 1 diabetic. So, I hope to be an inspiration to kids that, they can start and do anything they want to.
Do you have any limitations with it at all? And how do you manage?
Stay away from the ice cream bar. That's about it. Yeah, just kind of manage my diet. That's really the only limitations.
Mason, can you walk us through how you physically changed after the diagnosis?
Sure. Yeah, when I got diagnosed, I was 155 pounds. So I'm standing here now at about 235. So pretty much skin and bones to, putting on enough strength that my body's able to withstand a long season now and be able to produce enough power that the fastball jumps the way it does. So, yeah, it's been a drastic change, but it didn't happen overnight. A lot of hard work in there as well.
How drastic was the uptick in velocity?
So I threw about 90 coming out of high school. I lost probably 10 miles an hour. I was throwing about 80 before I got diagnosed. That came back quickly, and then it's just kind of been 2 or 3 every year for the last 7 years or so.
Can you just tell us about who you are, the person?
Yeah, I'm a simple guy. I'm really grateful to be able to do the things that I do. But ultimately, the things that bring me the most joy are my family, my wife at home, family that we're building. We don't have any kids yet, but that's in our future for sure. And just really grateful to experience all this with her and
be a normal person away from the field sometimes too.
Be a normal person. What does that mean to be a normal person away from the field?
Just enjoy the same things everybody else does. I think everybody puts athletes in this pedestal of like all these cool things that we do. And yes, we do get to do a lot of cool things, but sometimes it's the simple things like going to get breakfast and a coffee, or walking on the beach, or just spending time at home watching a TV show. Just things like that. Just the simple things.
What was your wife's reaction to it? That's the most important thing. What was your wife's reaction to coming to San Diego?
Well, she's not down here yet. She's still in Sacramento, but she's excited. Obviously, we came up with the A's, so we have a lot of friends there, a lot of people that we've gotten close to over the years. So it's bittersweet. We're excited to be here and have the opportunity, and it's hard to find a better place to spend some time and play in front of these fans. And the weather here is amazing. So I think when she gets down here, she's going to be extremely excited.
That was new Padres reliever Mason Miller inside the Padres clubhouse earlier this week after making his Padres debut. We'll see if Miller makes his second appearance as Padre here tonight or at some point in this series. First pitch coming up at 6:40 here at Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona. Let's give you our keys to today's game.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by El Centro Motors Ford. Meet your new Ford General Manager, Greg Ryan, now at El Centro Motors Ford, your new Ford truck, Bronco, and SUV HQ. Call Greg directly at 619-944-0774.
Key number one, keep finding the big inning. Padres scored 4 runs in the 7th inning yesterday. It was their 5th 4-run inning in the past 7 games. They scored 4 more runs in a single inning in just 5 of their previous 48 games before this most recent 7-game stretch. Key number 2, limit Carroll and Perdomo, the 2 and 3 hitters for Arizona. Corbin Carroll having a great year, 22 home runs, ranks 10th in the National League, 53 RBIs. Geraldo Perdomo, 75 RBIs on the season. He ranks 6th in the National League, also top 6 in on-base percentage as well. Yes, the D-backs are missing a lot of key guys they traded away, like Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor, Merrill Kelly, a number of relievers as well. But make no mistake, between Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll, and Geraldo Perdomo, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. as well, they do have a lot of pop at the top of that lineup. And key number 3, figure out Fought. Brandon Fought has been good for the D-backs against the Padres traditionally. If you look at Fought's career numbers against San Diego, 3.24 ERA and 7 career starts against the Padres. He was great, got a win in his last start last month against San Diego. 8 innings, 2 runs given up. Gavin Sheets did hit a home run against him in that game, and Sheets is in the lineup today for the Padres. And that's a quick look at our keys to this series opener in Arizona. Well, making his Padres debut is left-hander JP Sears on the mound for the Padres here tonight after being traded from the A's to San Diego at the deadline. Here was JP Sears earlier this week on the trade that brought him to San Diego.
Yeah, it's super exciting. We played here last year, and the fans left a big impression on me and the stadium, and we've heard so much about how much liveliness the team has, and these group of guys here so far have been so nice, and they seem like a tight knit group, so I'm excited about it.
Mark Cotte played here for a few years ago, a long time ago. Did he give you any advice about playing in San Diego, living in San Diego?
He said, the number one thing he said was just enjoy it and keep doing your thing. He loved it here, and I've heard nothing but great things. And he talked a lot about the fan base and how aware they are, and how many games they come to, and how many fans, how many sold out crowds you guys have had, and just a little bit about living and stuff. So he's been a great mentor for me, and he made me a little bit, even more excited about it. So.
What do you hope to add to this Padres team?
Yeah, I just hope to just provide, depth, and, just be out there every day, and just know that, I'm going to give it my best, and, can go out there and compete, and just throw the best quality innings I can, and, just do my best to help the squad.
What's it like watching Mason Miller day in and day out?
Yeah, I'm excited for y'all get to watch him even more. He's such a poised, competitor, and he knows his stuff, and obviously throws the ball really, really hard, and has a great slider too, and just works really hard, and he's a good teammate.
That was JP Sears inside the Padres clubhouse earlier this week. Sears making his Padres debut against this Diamondbacks lineup here tonight. Sam Levitt with you at Chase Field in Phoenix as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 6:40. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We do have a couple of finals already today. Tigers beat the Twins 6-3 in Detroit. Astros beat the Marlins 8-2 in Miami. Games going on right now. The Giants lead the Pirates 4-3 in Pittsburgh. In the ninth inning, Guardians and the Mets are tied at 5 in New York. In the eighth inning, Red Sox lead the Royals 7-1 at Fenway in the seventh inning. Brewers 3, Braves 1 in Atlanta in the ninth. Cubs 2, Reds 1 at Wrigley Field in the fifth inning in Chicago. Rangers lead the Yankees 4-3 in Arlington in the third. Blue Jays lead the Rockies 2-0 in Colorado in the second inning. Games yet to begin. Rays and the Angels at 6:38 in Anaheim. And finally, Cardinals and the Dodgers in LA at 7:10. And that's a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Monday. When we come back, we take a full look at today's starting pitching matchup between JP Sears and Brandon Pfaadt. We also tell you what to watch for in today's game. First pitch coming up at 6:40 right here on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside Chase Field here in Phoenix, Arizona. First pitch is coming up at 6:40 between the Padres and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Let's tell you what to watch for in this series opener.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
What to watch for in today's game? How about Xander Bogaerts, who had a base hit in yesterday's game? Xander, since June 19th, the span of 38 games, is hitting .345 with 15 extra base hits, 15 walks, 18 runs scored. He ranks third in the National League in batting average during that stretch. And in that stretch, by the way, he's raised his batting average overall this season from .227 through the first 72 games to .270 entering today's game. So we'll see if Xander Bogaerts can keep things moving in a positive direction in this series opener here today in Arizona. Let's take a look at our starting pitching matchup today between JP Sears making his Padres debut and Arizona right-hander Brandon Pfaadt.
Let's take a look at who's on the bump today with our starting pitching preview on the Padres Radio Network.
On the mound for the Padres here today, left-hander JP Sears. He's listed at 5'11", 180 pounds in 2025 with the A's, 7-9, 4.95 ERA in 22 starts, 111 innings. His last start for the A's, he went 4 innings and a third, 2 earned runs given up on 5 hits, 1 home run allowed. His splits this season aren't drastic. Lefties hitting .271 against them, righties at .255. The arsenal for Sears, a 4-seam fastball, a sweeper, a changeup, a slider, a sinker, and a curve. Meanwhile, on the mound for the Arizona Diamondbacks, right-hander Brandon Pfaadt, who's 10-7 this season, 5.11 ERA on the year, 22 starts, 116 innings and a third. His last start against the Tigers in Detroit, he went 4 2/3 innings, 7 earned runs given up on 11 hits, and he gave up 3 home runs. It was a season high 11 hits allowed. Before that start, Pfaadt had really settled down after a rocky first couple of months at a 3.50 ERA. In his 8 starts prior to the last one in Detroit, his ERA was at 5.50 in early June. So Brandon Pfaadt, who, like we said earlier, has a 3.24 ERA in 7 career starts against the Padres. He gets the start here today. He pitched 8 innings, 2 runs allowed in his first start against San Diego this season last month at Petco Park. So that's a look at our starting pitching matchup here today. Brandon Pfaadt on the mound for Arizona and JP Sears, the left-hander, on the mound for San Diego. Padres again come in a record of 62-50. The Diamondbacks at 53-59. Padres enter the day sitting in the National League's final wild card spot. A lot of new faces on this Padres team. A very, very nice series in St. Louis over the weekend. We'll see if the Padres can keep it rolling when we come back. And when we come back, it'll be myself and Bob Scanlon. We'll have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and then all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network.